imagining schools as hubs of social change. I grew up in the mountains in a small town, attended a local school, and if I try to remember, all I can remember is running up and down the mountains, climbing trees, and getting into lots and lots of trouble. But there was a lot of sense of belonging, as connection, and loads of fun. And I'm sure if I ask each one of you to go back to your school time, it will evoke some emotions, maybe strong emotions, yeah? They might be of enduring friendships, connections, possibly pain, isolation, loneliness. We carry schools in our hearts forever. We might be there for 14 years, but we carry with our schools in our hearts forever. I definitely carried mine. And it has strengthened my deep faith that if we have to bring about any social change, we have to go back to schools. And I'm going to share 3 ideas with you today. The first idea is it takes a child to raise a village. Yeah? Would you agree? Yeah. If we look around in our world, we think we know better. And our children are passive recipients of our so-called wisdom. I call it so-called wisdom because if we look, we see genocides, we see climate crisis, we see escalating mental health problems, suicide rates, destruction, systematic destructions of mountains, rivers, forests. So yes, let's put the so-called wisdom aside. And maybe it's time for us to start listening to our children and young people. Because if you see, who are the people who are questioning the most damaging, most powerful voice in the world? Who are the people who are doing that? The young voices. And it makes sense, right? It makes sense because they have a acute sense of justice. They are curious. They are challenging. They want to unpack a very entrenched ideas, the taken for granted truths that we carry in our minds. I have been a therapist for more than 30 years now. Yeah, I'm like a dinosaur. And, my hope and my faith and my dream is that future of mental health, if we have to make a social change, if we have to change the mental health landscape of our country, we have to go back to our schools. Yeah? Would you agree with that? Yeah? And because we have to work with our children and not against our children if we want to make a better world. Yeah. And my second idea is we heal in kinships and not in silos. And I'm going to share a beautiful story with you. And I'm sure some of you might have heard of this beautiful story. It's a couple of girls in a middle school, 13-year-olds, went up to their teacher and very upset, very angry. I say, what's the point of all these sex education classes where we still have to do, there's so much of hush-hush and silence around periods, and the teacher's very wise. I wonder if she's here. No, she might not be here. She's very wise and she called the whole class together and said, let's talk about it. And the girls led that conversation. They talked about the pain, the discomfort, the 5-6 days that they had to go through, so much of discomfort, can't play, can't do much. And then on top of that, every time they have to run to the school clinic to get the sanitary napkins, and they have to wrap it up in newspaper, wrap it up in black bags, and the hush, the silence, the stigma around it. But initially, the boys were like, okay, what's happening here? They never heard this word being spoken. And here it was being talked about. There were some sniggers, there were some giggles, and the sanitary napkins were passed around. For the first time, most of the boys were picking up a sanitary napkin, opening it, having a look at it. They started asking questions they had never done before. And, what came out of this was they started, the whole class started I get goosebumps when I think about it, they started a period box. In this period box, they put sanitary napkins, candy, painkillers, like a proper care package. The best thing was each and every child in the class took responsibility for this period box. And it didn't stop there. From there, they went to the principal, it was taken to the school assembly, and the ripples kind of continued. Um, I think for me, if I look back, I think that day changed the children's lives forever. What they learn today about the shape patriarchy takes, social justice, gender justice, about speaking up, of solidarity, and of course, a very important aspect is how teachers can be catalysts for change. Yeah. Now, think about it. Suppose we, rather than here, we carried these mini convenings to schools. We carried these mini convenings to schools where we, the powerful voices here, didn't lead it, but the children led these convenings. It became part of the curriculum. What would it do to our children? What would it do to our society? We have to grow up with our children and with our children. And what better place to go but back to schools? Yeah. My third idea. This is an idea that a tree is as strong as the forest surrounds it, is an idea that I have taken from a forest activist, Peter Wohlleben. The problem in our mental health structures is we locate the problem in the child, as if they're like broken cars and that need to be fixed. When we know the problem is in the socio-cultural context in which we are bringing up our children, that defines the worth of our children. Yeah. And, how many of you love forests? I mean, I'm crazy about trees. I bring up trees everywhere. Yeah. And have you noticed when you walk into a forest, it's almost like entering a buzzing hub of aliveness and diversity? Yeah, and we know through loads and loads of research now that trees are not individualistic creatures. They're all connected to each other through this complex network of mycelium, which we call the wood wide web. Yeah, we need to build schools like that. We need to build schools where every child contributes to this aliveness in diversity. Imagine if every child grew up with a sense of belonging, a sense of I'm worthy, I'm not just a brick in a wall, but I can contribute to this forest. What a difference would it make to our world? Yeah, where they have a sense of agency, a sense of purpose, a sense of, no matter what their class, caste, gender, sexuality, that I can contribute. And the question to all of us is, are we building factories, brick factories, or are we building, nourishing these forests? Can I request all of you to stand up, please? Yeah. We work with children, so we make you do silly things. If I can request, we have this amazing first convening we've done. We're building our own forest here. We have mental health professionals, we have young people, we have philanthropists, we have community workers, mental health professionals, everybody. Let's spread out our arms and ground ourselves in the root and spread our arms as much as you can and look around you. Look around you. This is the forest we are creating together. Yeah? The storms are inevitable. The storms are inevitable. Every forest will face the storm. You can put your arms down. Storms are inevitable. It could be in terms of patriarchy. It could be in terms of abuse, violence, discrimination, marginalization, and all that. But as long as our roots are strong, and as our forest is strong, we stand together because we are as strong as the forest that surrounds us. Thank you.